And now to the last part of this morning session. Sandrine Vaslo-Guy, Director for Selection and Advice at Vega, and Fanny Laitier, Coordinator at Genio, and Jacques-Antoine Philippe from Colville.
C'est ça, vous aurez plus la parole. Je vous en prie, mettez-vous à l'aise, du coup on a un petit peu plus de temps.
Well, we're still waiting for this third person to join us. So I'm told she's not going to be here any second. Okay, so let's start with you, Jacques-Antoine Philippe. Let's hear about the construction of thematic strategies, something we haven't discussed yet. Or would you like to comment on what's been said? Great. Thank you for inviting me. Good morning, Sandrine. We know each other. We've met before. Let me talk about the context. At Colville, we're an entrepreneurial management company. We're a French family-owned company. I'm a partner with my brother since 2015. Around simple values, long-term, customer service to clients, and we haven't forgotten the financial crisis 2001 and 2008 and 2022 to a lesser extent. We saw great companies fail, so we decided to invest in high-quality companies that are here to stay for long term. And then we decided to set up our company, so we talked to different investors we knew, and we said we'd like a fund with the 20 best companies in the world. Everyone listened politely, and no one wanted to invest with us. That's how it starts.
C'est normal, ça débute toujours comme ça.
C'est ça, et puis à un moment, il y a
And then the head of CAPSA, that's a pretty great guy you may know, he said, I'm not interested in investing in your thing, but I'd like to invest on a theme, a subject we're all concerned by, different generations. How do we keep our parents or grandparents, aging family at home as long as possible, or should we just invest in retirement homes? So could you set up a fund on this idea? So we scratched our heads and said, this is very specific. And actually, it's very broad. There are a lot of companies in this. We set up the funds in 2015 with 10 million and now 350 million euros AUM. So deciding to have impact funds, ESG funds, of course, we were going to invest in companies with poor behaviors, not in line with our value and our investors. So impact, not just a theme. Yes. And a strong will to say, impact investment can only be legitimate for the long term if there are high performances. So we were fortunate to get this request from investors from the get-go who needed high-performing financial products around a certain theme or values. You have other themes now? Yes. The farmers theme. Agrica, the Agricultural World Retirement Fund, said, I love what you do. Give me a fund for farmers and their families. So with the social, societal aspect, yes, it's the raison d'être. And it has to make money, of course. So We always have both. And when talking about farming, it has to do with food security in the world, how we're going to feed billions more soon. So yes, long term, while preserving biodiversity. I could talk about this for hours. I don't want to hog the floor, but from the start, we didn't wait until we had a regulatory framework to talk about ESG and impact investing. Okay, we'll come back to the regulatory framework and how you work with it. Sandrine, good morning. You look at funds. How do you select sustainable finance funds? Oh, yeah, we don't just take a look at them. We cut them up and break them down to analyze them. We select funds as part of our investments, and we're also managers under multi-management, but also direct line. So we perfectly know all the managers' bonds. So we can ask questions that a selector that doesn't manage wouldn't ask. So from the start and today, again, when we talk to managers, we ask financial, extra financial questions. We ask about sustainable investments or not. And sometimes you're shocked. Yesterday, I was talking to a stock fund manager. He knew he was SFDR 8. But the way he talked about sustainable management, you could tell he didn't know anything about it. I expect fund managers to talk about it spontaneously, especially when they're Article 9. When they should talk about their extra financial approach next to the financial approach. Otherwise, it's a weak point. Okay, so we need to open up the box and look at the method. Our selection committee, that's been around for more than 20 years. We started in 1998, so we've been meeting with fund managers for a long time. The selection committee has a conventional approach with many rules and points to go through. And in 2018, we started the ESG Fund Club, specialized in analyzing the SRI processes of funds. So we work hand in hand. We could select a fund that doesn't have an SRI, but it's not going to go into our SR ESG world, which is a subset of what we do, and helps us manage our own products. We've been talking about labels and an SFTR articles, a lot of this regulation and the taxonomy coming, and we're all a bit lost. We all tried. The SFTR definition is not precise, to say the least. Yeah, it's complex, but it's imprecise. If we had a calculation method, then we could do it all the same way. But here, everyone had to think through their methods. Just like with SRI, you have to think of your philosophy. And as a selector, you're not there to say whether it's right or not. We just want to see whether it's consistent and well done and under control and well managed. We're not going to say it's a better method or not. We'll see when it's more standardized. So you are open to different approaches. Right, we didn't select all funds with the same approaches and philosophies. No, we have funds that don't use the same databases, that have analysts working with or without the managers. We're open to different approaches, but it has to be rigorous and make sense, and the manager has to be in control. So it's different if it's an Article 8 or Article 9 fund. It's not the same explanation? So, Jacques-Antoine, what do you say about that? Right, this is supposed to be a discussion. We're supposed to disagree? No, I agree. I fully agree. There's not one view of ESG. We all have different backgrounds, and in different countries, you will have different views of the world as well. So we can't have just one model, one size fits all. And so there are different aspects, the dialogue with the company, the voting policy, the investment, the exclusion policy, and your own corporate policies. We, for instance, are committed. You go and visit the companies? Yes. There are all sorts of things. And also, we're not here to teach anyone any lessons. We're humble. We're trying to do a good job before we try to tell others how to do their job. What's interesting in our approach, from 2015 to 2018, people asked, are you SRI? And we said, yeah, sure. Our themes are SRI, our investment process. Investors need concrete points, facts. The investor said, we like you, but we need more of a more formal way to describe this. COVID accelerated things. We had less time. We couldn't call prospective customers. So this is why when we formalized our approach and got labels for our funds and applied ESG and impact investing methods. It took time. My partner is a slow manager, and I'm more of a manager in a hurry. So we hurried slowly. We took a long time rolling out an ESG method and then an SFDR method, because we have one Article 9 fund and two Article 8 funds. One soon to become 9. It's in line with our investment strategy, and it has to be an opportunity to strengthen our investment processes. What does it mean? A good company. It helps you improve your risk policy, the employer-employee dialogue, controversies. So a lot of low signals that improve your management. Last year, with the move to SFDR 9, took 50% of our time to formalize a long process just for one fund. A lot of work. We need to take our time. It's important to become consistent and make sure that the management is in line with objectives. So long term, yes, long term, very long term, and constant change. Once you're SFDR 9, first of all, we have consultants we work with for compliance and other things. We have a specific ESG subscription, and they helped us move to SFDR 9. It's like a constant audit or second-level control we have for SFDR 2, because it's constantly changing. The framework keeps evolving, and you have to pay close attention. You have to be very careful you don't miss out on something. Do you agree, Sandrine, about remaining agile and on your toes? Yes, and we also got support from consultants. We rolled out our own method. I know it's complicated for multi-managers. And it's harder when you juggle with several kinds of funds. In current times, it's hard to predict what's going to happen. You have to stay abreast of changes. It's so complex, we decided to make it all transparent. We chose a platform that allows us to include the vision of our funds in our different funds of funds or multi-managed funds. We have a whole system that allows us to say Vega as a fund manager, even if 90% of our funds are external, because we have open architecture in a fund of funds or under management mandate, we're going to apply our own method to our direct line to say whether it's sustainable or not. So every fund is transparent. Well, when you select a fund, you look at the managing company's method, the management percentage of sustainable investment according to the article we chose, and the actual percentages, whether it's in line with their method and their mindset. And then as managers, we reintegrate these lines. We see whether some do not match our exclusion policy, because we have our own, so it has to really be minor in order to keep the fund. Otherwise, we get in touch with the managers and discuss it. What are you going to do about these points? Where are you going to go? We're going to have to be talking to fund managers the same way we do with our direct lines. Not on the same topics or criteria, but we are setting up this new approach. And the vision we have of a fund of funds or aggregated funds behind it, it's hard having a complete final view. But here we do, because we have the same method. So you would have questionnaires or voting policies for all funds. You apply the same method to all funds as part of your selection. Yes. This is something that's really nice in our job, the dialogue between investors like you, institutional investors, and managers like us. As long as the approach is pragmatic, you help us grow. It's constructive. Yeah, it's not trying to exclude a fund unless there's no discussion, which can happen, but less and less, because the SFDR regulation is about being transparent and providing reports in line with the articles. SFDR Article 689 were not about saying, I'm more SRI or sustainable investment than you. It's about the different kinds of reports you have to do according to your objectives. With Article 8, you promote ESG, for instance. It's not about being better. It's about the criteria you report on. Okay, well, then it's been, it's taken on a life of its own. It's gone on in different directions, but it's important to know what to report on. It's not easy. So everybody wants an Article 9 fund, and now we're seeing with the numbers that it's most of the funds raised. So that's been the focus. Is that right? Well, we thought about it, and then we stopped. When we saw Article 9 funds, officially, we realized they're really 8+, not really 9. So we didn't think there would be a bubble. Perhaps on theme-based funds, because being a general fund under Article 9 is very difficult. It's easier if you are focused on one theme, on one industry. But if you're focused on Article 9, that's not something we believe in anymore. And when I see we have 235 funds in our short list, And we segmented into Article 6, 8, and 9. It's a bit like the market. If you look at Morningstar, it were under 15% Article 9 funds in our selection. We have like 30% Article 8 funds. The rest is Article 6. We're seeing switches from 6 to 8, very little from 8 to 9. We don't have any Article 9 funds that have been downlisted to 8. We had very targeted funds. So our short list is representative of the overall market, is what we found. Have you seen a bubble, Jacques-Antoine? Our main fund, which represents 70% of our assets under management, and we only have 3 funds, it took us a year and a half to get it to Article 9, when initially I thought, this is June, now I'm going to get this done by September. But it took a year and a half, so we took our time getting there. We didn't want to find ourselves in that situation. You have to pay attention to changes. It's like in every new field. I was told, don't hurry, don't jump to being Article 9 because that's easy when it's new. It's like in every new field. It's not easy. You try things, you learn by trying. And some Article 9 go back to Article 8. So this is here to stay. But it's always important, let me say this once again, you have to be pragmatic and don't come with a ready-made approach, all set in your ways.
Those are not just figures, and not just turn up with a one-fits-all solution and say this is good or bad. And this is the discussion we're having with investors. Right from the inception, we've been instilling a dialogue. Sometimes they got a standpoint which is not exactly the same as ours, and then when we talk and we confer, and then you get somewhat of a bridge or some kind of like the common denominator. No reason not to find a solution. Sandrine, perhaps the last word, perhaps say that we really drifted away from investors' concerns. And most, are you talking about the our morning session today? No, the issue? No, at hand? No. I mean, the concerns among private investors. We, as a private investment partner or party, we got private customers whom we don't really directly or see directly necessarily. And they're very far away from that. And advisors are away from this. Now, we're really into it, and we talk about it. But for Mr. or Mrs. Smith, a non-institutional customer, this really is supposed to help them. A label is actually a token of for confidence and trust. With private investors, we can actually put this forward. But Articles 8 and 9, this is Hebrew to them. When reading the SFDR indexes and reporting, and we were able to actually word them in French. And perhaps you should reiterate that sentence in another circle, perhaps. So we need to really explain things from top to bottom, and this was a conclusive remark in a morning session. And with the debates today, the topics is more than complex and needs to be clarified. And we're supposed to perform, financially speaking, under the best conditions and with the best resources. Thank you very much, both of you. Thank you.
As sustainable investing becomes mainstream, there is now greater demand from investors for more clarity on the environmental, social, and governance, or ESG, aspects of their investments, as well as increased regulatory pressure for standard ESG reporting. Morningstar has listened to investors and carefully considered the industry's ESG investing needs. We've made significant investments to develop our data, research, ratings, and customized reporting solutions, so you can create best-in-class communications that distill the complexities of ESG into clean and clear visuals. Investors can quickly assess whether an investment or portfolio holdings are exposed to material ESG factors, controversial areas, or impacts to a cause, to build stronger portfolios for long-term growth. Morningstar is founded on empowering investor success.
Discover cases.